In the second video, we're going to learn how to solve quadratic equations. All quadratic equations we'll be able to solve after today using something called the quadratic formula. So your objective is that you can understand the different methods to how to solve a quadratic equation. You can state the quadratic formula and that you're going to be able to use the quadratic formula. This is a very famous formula. A lot of people put a lot of emphasis on this formula. It is a little long, but I have ways to help you memorize it. So take a look at the graphs. We have learned that the solutions are the x-intercepts. So when I'm asking you, what are the solutions to this? We are asking, what are the x-intercepts? So here, taking a look here, this quadratic, if I would set this equal to 0 and I was asking for the solutions, my solutions would be these 2 points. On this one, we have only one solution because it only touches the x-axis once. Where something like this would have no solution because it never crosses the x-axis. So quadratics can either have 2, 1, or no solution. So let's review. These are past methods we learned how to solve quadratic equations. We did this back in Unit 4. We learned that we had to isolate x squared, so we divided by 3. And then we had x squared equals 4, square root, and x turned out to be plus or minus 2. Remember that plus or minus to make sure you didn't forget? So that told me that my quadratic, and this one would open up, would cross at 2 and negative 2, my parabola. On this one, solving by factoring, so this is Unit 5. And I know I have to solve by factoring because I have 3 terms versus here I only had 2, the beginning and the end. I can minus 3 over, we learned it was x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 0. We factored this into x plus 3, x minus 1. We found what made each one 0. So this is negative 3 and 1. We have negative 3 and 1. And this one would open up. So my 2 solutions, again my x-intercepts, my parabola would look something like this. So there are actually 3 ways to solve quadratics, and soon it will become 4 in Unit 8. And actually it's 5 ways, because you can always graph a quadratic and find the solutions. However, it's not the most efficient way. So the more algebraic ways are 3 ways to solve. To solve this, ax squared plus bx plus c. If there is no bx, so this part is disappeared, just like this right here, use the square root method, where you get x squared by itself, and then you're going to use the square root with the plus or minus. If there is a bx, you can see if it factors. If it does, solve by factoring the zero product property, which again was on the previous slide. If not, we're going to use the quadratic formula, which you're going to learn in a bit what that is. The quadratic formula can be a little long to use. It is a guarantee. It always works. Where the other 2 methods, you kind of have to set up whether you have no bx or that it factors. But the quadratic formula can be used in every situation. However, it is not the most efficient because it is quite long. So what is the quadratic formula? Well, the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. Yes, you will have to have this memorized. And I'm going to show you a couple of videos of different ways you can help yourself memorize it. Right here, the star means for you to use a quadratic formula, the equation needs to equal 0 before you even start, just like this one down here. So let me show you how to use a quadratic formula before I show you the videos on how to memorize it. So in here you have your a, your b, and your c. So the first step is pretty easy. You're just substituting in for a, b, and c. So you have negative 6, and I like to substitute in, and you should too, with parentheses, square root negative 6 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 1. All divided by 2 times my a, 3. So all I did in this part was replace the a, b, and c over 2a. By order operations, I need to do the inside of the root. I could do other little simplifications. I can go with the negative 6, which turns into 6, plus or minus. And then you simplify the inside. And again, take it in steps. So we have 36, negative 4. The 4 is negative. We make it negative. We just carry it with it. Negative 4 times 3 times negative 1 gives me plus 12, all divided by 6. So I have 6 plus or minus. I add this together, get the square root of 48, all divided by 6. Well, then we're going to do simplest radical formula for quadratics. So we're going to simplify this. So thinking back to Unit 4, we did our factor tree from here. So that's 4 and 12, 2 and 2, 4 and 3, and 2 and 2. So this equals 6 plus or minus 4 square root of 3 divided by 6. And we also learned in Unit 4 the only way we can simplify if all three outside numbers have the same factor. So all three of these need to be divisible by the same number, which they are 3. So my final answer is 3 plus or minus 2 square root of 3 over 3. So what does this mean? There are two solutions here. This really means it's 3 plus 2 square root of 3 divided by 3. If I actually had you type this in your calculator, you would get a long decimal. Or you also go 3 minus 2 square root of 3 over 3 to get your two solutions. However, you can leave it just like this. We will calculate this out when we get to the vertical motion model. We might actually want the real decimal. Alright, so moving on to the videos. I'm going to show you a couple songs, and we're going to go over this in class of ways you can help you memorize the quadratic formula. I'm sure my sound is on for you guys. Alright, so that was the first video. The second one, just showing that anyone can memorize a song, is a 2-year-old who does it. Let's skip ahead. Alright, so that is a song that you're going to memorize the quadratic formula. It just goes to the Pop Goes a Weasel. You will have a chance to earn extra passes if you will sing me the song, and I will give you more details about that in class. Alright, so let's continue on solving. So you really want to concentrate on your three methods. First off, is there bx? And this one is. So then you can ask yourself, does it factor? If it factors, you should try to factor it. Well, you can look at 14. Factors of 14 that add up to 9 are 7 and 2. So I am going to factor this instead of using the quadratic formula. So this is x plus 7, x plus 2 equals 0. So then my solutions are negative 7 and negative 2, which we did back in Unit 5 and a little bit in Unit 6. Let's look at example 2. Now the problem with example 2, it does not equal 0 like it does here, so I need to move my 8 over. So I go 2x squared minus 3x minus 8 equals 0. Well, here I'm going to see if this factors, because I have three terms. I have negative 16 as my AC. Factors of negative 16 that add up to 3. We got 2 and 8. Negative 1 and 16, 4 and 4. That doesn't factor. So now I have to use my quadratic formula. So it's negative b, so negative 3, plus or minus. If you forget, just look at your notes. You should have it written down. b squared, negative 3 squared, minus 4 times 2 times negative 8, all divided by 2 times 2. All right, so simplify it in parts. We have negative 3, so it's 3 plus or minus. I'm going to do square root. I'm going to show you something I like to do to kind of save space. I go negative 3 squared. I just write the number above it. So that's 9. Then I go negative 4. Again, we treat the 4 as a negative. Negative 4 times 2 times negative 8. That's 8. Negative 8 times negative 8 is plus 64. So then I have the square root of 73. All divided by 4. So now my next step is to break down the root. 73, there are no numbers that really divide into 73 that's going to break it down. So I am done. It does not break down like it did in the previous example, or previous 2 examples. All right, so let's look at example 3. There's a trinomial. So my AC is 12. Are there factors of 12 that add up to negative 7? Sure enough, we have negative 4 and negative 3. So I'm going to use my box to factor this down a little more. Going back there, we have negative 4x, negative 3x. So this is x. GCF of this row is 4x. This is 1, or negative 1, to get negative 4x. And this is negative 3. So my 2 factors are this. Solving each one, we have x equals 1, and then we have 4x minus 3 equals 0. Add 3, 4x equals 3, divide by 3, 3/4 is my other example. Alright, so taking a look at example 4, see factors of 20, they add up to 11. Again, it's a trinomial, so I know I can see the factors. 4 and 9, 2 and 10, 1 and 20, nothing adds up to 11. So I'm going to use a quadratic formula. So negative b, so 11, again your a is 1, b and c, plus or minus 11 squared minus 4 times 1 times 20. That's, all divided by 2 times 1 equals, this x equals, negative 11 plus or minus 121. Negative 4 times 1 times negative 20 is minus 80. Again, we make that 4 negative over 2. Simplifying this out, negative 11 plus or minus, this is square root of 41, all divided by 2. So x equals negative 11 plus or minus square root of 41 over 2. 41 is prime, so that does not break down. So you are done right there. All right, last 2 examples. Again, example 5. X is not by, or it does not equal 0 like we wanted to, so I have to move the 4 over. X squared plus 2x minus 4 equals 0. This negative factors of negative 4 that add up to 2. We have negative 4 and 1, negative 2, 2, nothing works. So then I know I need to use a quadratic formula. So I go negative 2 plus or minus 2 squared, because that's my b, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c is negative 4, all over 2 times 1. So x equals, so I have negative 2 plus or minus, this is, I'm going to write above it, 4. Negative 4 times 1 times negative 4 is plus 16, equals the square root of 20. All divided by 2. Square root of 20 does break down, so that's 5 and 4, 2 and 2. So you have negative 2 plus or minus. 2 goes outside, 5 stays in. Divide by 2. Look at all 3 outside numbers, they're all divisible by 2. So my final answer is negative 1 plus or minus square root of 5 all over 1. So I don't need that 1, so x equals -1 plus or minus square root of 5. All right, so then on the last example, I don't have any b, so I can use the square root method. I'm going to add 1 over. So this is from unit 4. So 2x squared equals 1. We're isolating x. Again, you could have used the quadratic formula, or you could try to factor. This one doesn't factor, actually. That is fine. Square root. So x equals square root of 1/2. Remember, that's square root of 1 over square root of 2. You multiply the square root of 2 to top and bottom. So that's square root of 2 over 2 plus or minus. Alright, so that concludes this video. To review, there are 3 different ways of solving. You can always use a quadratic formula. When you use the quadratic formula, I know it's a little hard to see, it says use the quadratic formula in steps. So take your time, don't rush through it. And then you can always use a quadratic formula no matter what. However, it is not the most efficient. Just a reminder to do your reflection so you get credit for watching this video.